Lurkers explores the dark side of the online world. It contains adult themes and disturbing content for mature audiences only.
It's December 12, 2019, a cold evening in Cheshire, England. The road is narrow now, dark fields on both sides, no shop windows, no passing crowds, just hedges, bare trees, and the soft sweep of headlights over wet ground. Inside the car, 15-year-old Alex Rodas sits in the passenger seat. He's not scared. Not yet. Maybe a little nervous, maybe curious, maybe excited in that way you feel when something private is happening, something you're not ready to explain to everyone, but still want to understand for yourself. Earlier, he had told a friend where he was going, not exactly where, just enough. Someone was taking him to a special place, near a field, near a forest, and his friend had said no, don't go. Alex had laughed it off a little, because really, what's special about a field? The car comes to a stop. For a second, nothing moves. Only the engine, the cold outside, the quiet kind of darkness you only get in the countryside. Then the door opens. Alex steps out. The air hits his face first, cold enough to make him blink. His shoes meet the damp ground. Somewhere ahead, the trees are gathered together in a black shape against the sky. He looks toward them. Maybe he tells himself this is normal. Maybe he thinks it's strange, but not strange enough to turn around. Because when you're 15, danger doesn't always look like danger. Sometimes it looks like attention, like secrecy, like someone older choosing you. They start walking, away from the car, away from the road. The grass is wet. The ground gives slightly under each step. Branches shift in the wind, and the further they move, the smaller the car feels behind them. Out here, the screen doesn't light the way. The woods don't care who follows you. They don't care who knows where you are. Alex keeps walking, and by the time anyone understands where the path was leading, the boy who lived in messages, videos, and flashes on his friends' screens would never light up those screens again. And his phone, the one thing that might have carried the last traces of that night, would be gone too, and never be found.
In a world where connection is effortless, every click feels safe. But online, trust can be deceiving. This is Lurkers, true stories of trust, desire, and how technology, if unchecked, can turn it all against us.
Shame is quiet. Fear is quiet too. They don't always look like danger from the outside. Sometimes they look like a hidden conversation, a locked screen, a message deleted before anyone else can read it. And online, secrets can grow fast. They become screenshots, rumors, threats, lies, pressure. So by the time the people around you realize something has changed, the secret may already have a life of its own. In Alex Rodas' story, the first thing his family and friends heard was not the truth. It was noise. And before they could find him, they had to find their way through it. A quick note here though. Some of Alex's friends were underage at the time, and UK reporting restrictions protected certain young people connected to the case, so we'll identify several of them by their role in the search that night, not by their full names. Around 9 o'clock that night, December 12, 2019, Lisa, Alex's mom, started calling him. Alex was always on his phone, always messaging someone, always connected. So when he didn't answer, it felt strange. She had been out for dinner. Alex was supposed to be out too. Nothing about that sounded unusual at first. He had told her he was going to stay at a friend's house. He had said someone was picking him up first. So, when his phone didn't answer right away, Lisa didn't panic. Not immediately. Maybe the battery was dead. Maybe he was being careless. Maybe he was just 15. But then she kept calling. And nothing. No text, no quick reply saying, "Mom, I'm fine." So, the silence started to feel wrong. This is when Lisa reached out to Alex's friends, but he wasn't with any of them. Slowly, the story Alex had given started to come apart. The place he was supposed to be, that he never reached. The friend he was supposed to stay with hadn't seen him, and the person who was supposed to pick him up first suddenly mattered a lot more. By around 10 o'clock, Alex's friends were involved. One of them made a missing person post on Facebook. Alex's photo, a phone number, a plea for help, and the post moved fast from one feed to another. Friends, classmates, people who knew Alex, people who barely knew him. When his face started spreading, the response was immediate, but so was the cruelty. Messages started coming in, strange accounts, Russian-looking profile names. Alex's brother saw the missing person post first and called his dad.
"Dad, he's gone missing. Have you heard about the Russians?"
The Russians? At first, the question didn't make sense. But then Adam, Alex's father, started seeing the messages too. They claimed they had Alex. They said they had the gay boy in the back of the van. They said they were starving him, hurting him, that he wasn't going to be gay after this. And when your son is missing, when your brother is missing, even a message that looks sketchy can pull you in. Because you don't get to ignore anything. Not when there's even a chance it could lead you to him. So Alex's friends split up and started searching. Warehouses, roads, places near Holmes Chapel, anywhere a van could be. By around 11 o'clock, there were too many stories, and none of them made sense. One friend looked at Alex's most recent Snapchat story. Studying what little was there, she saw a picture, a compact car, 2 heart emojis, a place that didn't look like the city, something that looked more like countryside. In the meantime, Alex's mom Lisa couldn't rest. By now, one name kept coming back. Matthew Mason. He was the person Alex had said was picking him up. And according to what Mason had told one of Alex's friends, he had dropped Alex off in Holmes Chapel because Alex was supposedly going to Manchester with friends. So they checked train times. They waited at the station for the last train. But Alex never got off. Then Lisa tried Mason herself. At first, he didn't answer, so she texted him. And when he finally called back, she asked him the only question that mattered. "Where's my son?" And like with the others, Mason said he had dropped Alex off at Holmes Chapel around 6 o'clock. Then, almost like he wanted to be helpful, he offered to drive over and help them search. He said he was nearby, that he had just been at the pub with friends. And that was the moment Lisa heard enough. She told him she was getting the police because the story didn't hold. Not the time, not the Snapchat clue, not the silence, and not the feeling Lisa already had in her body. That this wasn't a runaway, this wasn't a teenager being careless, and that whatever Mason knew, he wasn't saying it. Before Matthew Mason became the name everyone kept circling back to, there was Alex. Not a headline, not a court file, not the boy from the missing person post. Just Alex. In ITV's The Social Media Murders, the people who loved him remembered a boy who was always recording something. A phone in his hand, a camera pointed at his friends, a joke started before anyone was ready, a song, a dance, a little performance in the middle of an ordinary day. He loved Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, and for Alex, it fit. He was funny, dramatic, social, the kind of person who could turn a normal afternoon into a moment his friends would still talk about later. His mom, Lisa, said she knew from the time he was little that Alex was different in a way she understood, before he even had the words for it. The jewelry, the hats, the heels, the softness, the brightness, and when he was 13, Alex came to the kitchen and told her he thought he was gay. Lisa's answer was simple. Okay. That was it. No drama, no rejection, just her son telling the truth and his mother loving him for who he was. But outside their house, the world wasn't always as kind. Alex's friends remembered boys shouting homophobic comments at him, making him feel small. The kind of cruelty adults sometimes dismiss as teenage noise, even when it follows someone home. But Alex had a circle of friends who defended him, who laughed with him, who knew his habits, who knew when he was joking, and who knew when something didn't feel right. And this circle matters in this story, because when Alex stopped answering, it was not just his family who noticed. His friends did too. The kind of loyalty that can outlast a lie. And later, when pieces of the truth had to be reconstructed, the things Alex shared with those friends would matter more than anyone could have known. So, if you have a teenager in your life, someone who lives in messages, group chats, private stories, and screenshots, this is the part of Alex's story worth sharing with them. Not to scare them, but to help them stay close to the people who would notice when something feels wrong. And if you want more stories told this way, follow Lurkers wherever you're listening. Every follow helps carry these episodes a little further. About 6 weeks before Alex disappeared, one of his friends remembered him being playful and excited, like he had a secret he couldn't hold in anymore. He said he was talking to someone she knew from school, a name that started with M and ended with Asen, Matthew Mason. According to the Court of Appeal judgment, Alex and Mason had known each other from school. Mason was 18, Alex was 15, and yes, 3 years may not sound huge if you just say the number, but at that age, 3 years can be a different world. One had left school, one was still in it, one had a car, one was being picked up, one was older, more experienced, and had more control over where things happened. And Alex? Alex was stepping into what may have felt like his first real relationship with a boy. To him, it didn't look like danger. It looked like attention. Maybe even possibility.
Oh yes, Mason wasn't some faceless profile using a fake photo. That is part of what makes this case different. He was real, local, known. Someone familiar enough not to feel like a stranger, but distant enough that social media could reopen a door that probably would have stayed closed in real life. They lived in different places, different circles, different routines. But online, all of that distance collapsed. Alex started showing his friends the messages, flirty enough that they understood it wasn't just friendly. And because Alex had never really had that first relationship before, some of them were excited for him. They wanted Alex to have what other teenagers get to have: a crush, a story, someone who made him feel wanted. But underneath the excitement, there were already small things that didn't sit right. Soon, the messages would become more sexual, the secrecy would become heavier, and then Alex would learn something that changed the whole dynamic. Matthew Mason had a girlfriend. For Alex, that discovery changed the shape of everything. What may have felt like a secret relationship now had another person inside it, someone else being lied to, someone else who didn't know what was happening behind her back, and Alex didn't want to be part of that. The court record later showed that in November 2019, Alex messaged Mason's girlfriend. He told her about the explicit image Mason had sent him, and about the two of them meeting. After that, she ended the relationship, and Mason was not happy. To Alex, telling her may have felt like the right thing to do. To Mason, it was exposure. The thing he didn't want, the thing he had been trying to keep sealed. And once the secret was no longer completely under his control, Mason started trying to control something else. Alex. One of Alex's friends later remembered it starting small. It started with 50 pounds, then more. Another friend called it exactly what it was: hush money. And the amounts grew to around 200 pounds. Later, the court record would confirm the payments eventually totaled, guess, more than 2,000 pounds. And that money changed the entire shape of the relationship, because now this wasn't just attention, it was leverage. One friend even warned Alex, "You're playing with fire." But he didn't see the full fire yet. He saw messages, transfers, a person who kept coming back. And maybe, under all of it, he still saw the possibility of something real. Later, while the search for Alex was unfolding, Lisa remembered one moment with Mason she couldn't shake. About a week before Alex disappeared, she came home from the shops and found the front door locked. Inside, she noticed a pair of big brown work boots that weren't Alex's. So she went upstairs. Alex was near the bedroom door, and Matthew Mason was standing at the top of the stairs. Alex said he was just passing by, but Lisa didn't believe it. She told Alex it was time for Mason to leave, and afterward, she warned her son, "Stay away from that boy." Something about him felt wrong to Lisa. Then came December 6, 6 days before Alex got into the car. According to the Court of Appeal judgment, Mason made internet searches about poisons and unsolved deaths of missing people. 3 days later, on December 9th, Mason met Alex again. That same day, he sent Alex 102 pounds. After that transfer, the court record says Mason had 26 pounds left in his bank account. So, by the week Alex disappeared, the secret had become expensive for him.
The pressure had become visible, and Mason was no longer just trying to hide what had happened. He was trying to stop what could still come out. Then December 12th came, and Mason told Alex he wanted to take him somewhere, a special place near a field, near a forest. Before Alex left, he told one of his friends about it, and she warned him, "Don't go." But by then, Mason was already outside, and Alex, still thinking he was in a relationship he could understand, got into the car. So now we return to the road, the one from the beginning, the dark fields, the hedges, the headlights moving over wet ground. Alex in the passenger seat, still thinking this might be something he could understand. Mason drove him out toward a wooded area, away from his friend's house, away from the station, away from anyone who might see the two figures standing in the cold and wonder why. Then the car stopped, the same place Alex had told his friend about, a field near a forest. Alex stepped out, and they walked into the woods. What Alex couldn't see, what the jurors would later hear, was that Mason had a heavy wrench concealed in his sleeve. Whatever Alex thought was going to happen out there, a conversation, intimacy, a moment alone, he had no reason to understand that Mason had brought a weapon into the dark. At trial, the picture presented was that Alex appeared to have been on his knees, in a vulnerable position, and that was when Mason attacked. The first blows, according to the court, would have rendered Alex unconscious, but Mason did not stop. He kept going, and after it was over, he left Alex in the woods. No ambulance, no call for help, no attempt to save him. Just the cold, the trees, and the body of a boy whose family was still trying to call him. Mason drove away. He disposed of Alex's phone, the one that carried the messages, the photos, the pieces of his life, and it was never found. Then Mason tried to become ordinary again. He cleaned himself up. Then he went to a pub, met friends, took a selfie, the kind of photo that says, "Look, I was here." And while Alex's friends and family were calling, texting, searching, and waiting at stations, Mason kept pushing the same story. He had dropped Alex off. He didn't know where he was. He could even help look, but the truth was already in the woods. In the early hours of the morning, police sent Mason a message telling him to contact them. He didn't. Instead, the court record said he went back to the woods, back to where he had left Alex, and he spent about an hour there, apparently trying to move the body. That detail, my friends, matters, because this was not a panic ending in confession. This was not someone running for help. This was a person returning to the scene, not to save Alex, but to protect himself. Then the morning came, Friday, December 13th, shortly after 8 o'clock, near Ashley Mill Lane in the village of Ashley. Alex's body was found. As ITV News Granada reported, police sealed off the quiet country lane. Forensic officers, police dogs, and investigators moved through the area. And the search changed. It was no longer about finding Alex. It was about finding out who had done this to him. But for Lisa, his mom, the answer had already started forming the night before. Mason, the boy in the house, the boy at the top of the stairs, the boy with a story that didn't hold. Police found Mason later that day. Court reporter Amy Walker described Mason being picked up on the A41 in Staffordshire. Officers told him to get out of the car and put his hands up. He refused. After asking again and getting no response, they smashed the window, pulled him out, and arrested him. In the boot, the trunk for the British, investigators found the weapon and Alex's coat. Mason would later admit he killed Alex, but he did not admit to murder. At trial, he claimed self-defense. He said Alex had attacked him first. He also put forward a partial defense of loss of control. The jury did not believe him. In January 2021, at Chester Crown Court, Matthew Mason was convicted of murdering Alex Rhoda. The judge said Mason had groomed Alex over the phone. He said Mason had made the clear decision to kill him. At sentencing, the judge pointed to what Mason did afterward: the false alibi, the lies, and the attempt to move Alex's body. This wasn't only what happened in the dark, it was everything Mason did after, when he still had choices, and every choice pointed in the same direction: protect the secret, protect himself, erase what he could. But Mason couldn't erase everything. He got rid of Alex's phone, yes, but he couldn't erase what Alex had shared with the people who loved him. The messages he showed them, the things he told them, the strange details they remembered, the Snapchat story, the train times, the phone calls, the feeling that something wasn't right. One expert said Alex's friends were pivotal in helping police understand the lead-up to his murder. And this is one of the most important parts of this story, because Alex's phone disappeared, but Alex's world did not. His friends carried pieces of it. Earlier, we talked about shame and fear, how quiet they can be, how they can hide behind locked screens, deleted messages, and second lives. Later, Lisa would say it plainly.
Matt Mason was full of fear and shame, and that shame destroyed my son's life.
That is the part that sits at the center of this case. Alex was not killed because he was dangerous. He was killed because someone else was afraid of being seen, because someone else wanted the truth buried, because the openness Alex was still learning to live with became, in Mason's mind, a threat. And add to that, like in the rest of our cases, social media. It made the access easier, as one of Alex's friends would later put it.
Social media makes it so much easier for people to get groomed, because they can hide behind a keyboard. They can hide behind the screen.
Mason was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 28 years. That minimum term was later reduced on appeal to 26 years. But no number gives Alex back to his family. No sentence returns him to the friends who waited for him. No judgment restores the videos he would have made, the jokes he would have told, the life he should have grown into. In the end, Alex's family was left trying to put words around what was taken. Adam, Alex's father, returned to one detail from Mason's version of events at trial. Something small on the surface, but devastating when you understand what Alex never got to have. Mason had claimed that Alex tried to kiss him, and that Mason responded by saying, "No kissing." For Adam, that detail was unbearable.
That made my blood boil, and that to me is unforgivable, because those are one of the things that my boys missed out on. He missed out on a loving relationship. You'll never have that.
That is what keeps echoing. Not the violence, not only the phone that was never found, but everything Alex was supposed to grow into. The first real love, the safety of being wanted without shame, the chance to keep becoming himself. So, we don't leave Alex in the woods. We don't leave him inside Mason's story. We leave him with the people who loved him, with the friends who fought for him, with a family who remembered him as free, and with the words his brother left behind about social media.
Don't go there naively. Don't go there thinking it's all roses, especially at that age, because you don't realize the demons that some people have in their heads.
If Alex's story stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone raising a teenager, someone living inside group chats and private stories, or someone who still thinks online danger only looks like a stranger with a fake profile. And follow Lurkers wherever you're listening. Every follow, review, and share helps carry these stories a little further. Remember Alex Rhoda. Stay aware, stay present, stay safe. This episode of Lurkers was researched and written by me, Frank Battiston. Production and sound design by Daniel Erdenivia. Thanks for listening.